A very good morning to every one of you. I hope all of you are safe and are in good health. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all at this 53rd annual general meeting of Deepak Nitrite Limited, being held today, that is 6th day of August 2024 at 11:30 a.m. This meeting is being convened through video conferencing or other audiovisual means in accordance with the circulars issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the Securities and Exchange Board of India. The webcast of this meeting is being provided by National Securities Depository Limited, that is NSDL, through its website. The company has made necessary arrangements in order to enable members of the company to participate and vote for the items to be considered at this annual general meeting. I would like to take you through certain important aspects regarding the participation at this meeting. The facility of joining this meeting through video conferencing or other audiovisual means is made available for the members on a first come first served basis. The statutory registers required to be kept open at this meeting are available for inspection by members in electronic mode. All members who have joined this meeting are by default placed on mute mode by the host. Once the question answer session starts, the moderator will announce names of the shareholders who have registered themselves as speaker shareholders. The speaker shareholder will thereafter be unmuted by the host. The speaker shareholder may put on his or her video if he or she desires to be seen. While speaking, we would request the speaker shareholder to use earphones for better clarity. Speaker shareholders are requested to announce their names, folio number, or DPID and client ID before speaking and limit their queries not more than 3 minutes. During the meeting, if a member faces any technical issue, he or she may contact the helpline number of NSDL mentioned in the notice of the AGM. I would like to mention that in compliance with the provisions of the Companies Act 2013 and SEBI listing regulations, the company has provided to its members the facility to cast their vote through remote e-voting system provided by NSDL. The remote e-voting commenced at 9 a.m. on 3rd day of August 2024 and was open for voting up to 5 p.m. on 5th August 2024. The facility for e-voting is also available during the meeting for the members who have not yet casted their votes through remote e-voting. Members attending the AGM may go to the voting page of the NSDL's voting website and may cast their vote. Mr. Dinesh Joshi, a practicing company secretary, designated partner of Kanj & Company LLP, company secretaries, has been appointed as a scrutinizer to scrutinize the votes received through remote e-voting and also through e-voting at the AGM. Members who have not voted earlier through remote e-voting can cast their vote during the course of meeting through e-voting facility. The company has received authorizations from 11 corporate shareholders appointing their representatives under Section 113 of the Companies Act 2013 in respect of 4,37,69,627 equity shares of the company, representing 32.09% of the total paid up equity share capital of the company. The statutory registers as required under the Companies Act 2013 and other documents as mentioned in the notice convening this AGM are open for inspection by way of a web link provided on the website of NSDL and also on the company's website. The representatives of the statutory auditors, Deloitte Huskins & Sells LLP, and representatives of the secretarial auditors, Kanj & Company LLP, are present through video conferencing. Now I request the chairman to take the proceedings of the meeting further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bajpai. I welcome you all to the 53rd annual general meeting of the company. As the requisite quorum is present, I call the meeting to order. With me here on the stage are all the directors of the company, except for Mr. Sanjay Ashar, who has joined the meeting through video conferencing. May I request Mr. Sanjay Ashar to introduce himself?
I'm Sanjay Ashar. I'm an independent director of the company.
Thank you. Mr. Asher. Let me now introduce the directors and the KMPs on the dais. On my left are Mr. Maulik Mehta, Mr. Meghav Mehta, Mr. Girish Satarkar, Ms. Purvi Sheth, Mr. Ajay Mehta, and Mr. Prakash Samudra. On my right are Mr. Sanjay Upadhyay, Mr. Dilip Choksi, Mr. Puneet Lalbhai, Mr. Vipul Shah. And next to Mr. Vipul Shah is our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Somshekhar Nanda, and Mr. Bajpai, our Company Secretary. I thank all the shareholders for joining this meeting, and I hope you are all safe and in good health. Now, may I take you through the highlights and the performance of the company during the financial year 23-24. Friends, you may be aware that the year 21-22 was perhaps the best year for the chemical industry in India and in the world. As we came out of COVID in the last few months, the demand as it sprang up across the world, the demand for various products and the chemical industry, which was supporting all these products, were on a high. And I believe each and every chemical company in the country performed exceedingly well. For Deepak, also, this was the best year in its history in terms of profitability and growth in business. The next year, as you all may be aware, the world went through the Russian-Ukraine war. And as a result of the war, the major challenges that came about were relating to energy. When Russia stopped giving gas to most of the European countries, and therefore there was an acute shortage of energy, not only in Europe, but as a result worldwide. A large number of European companies struggled to be continuing to be in business. Over a little while later, energy to some extent improved, and as more and more LNG moved from the rest of the world to Europe, and Europe was able to come back to some extent. The benefit was energy prices, which had gone sky high, particularly for LNG, came down. And resultantly, the world saw last year a year when dropping energy prices started creating a drop in prices of all products which are based on energy. Last year also, you may be aware, was a year where El Nino affected agriculture, particularly in Latin American countries like Brazil. As a result of both of these situations, where the demands were going down, where suddenly the cost of product was going down, and a large number of companies which had stocks kept for the season were finding that they were into a very, very bad situation. That was the time when the world over people started what we call as destocking, stopping to purchase until the entire stocks were over, which were the high price stocks. World over, this situation created panic in terms of making every major producer of intermediates for the agrochemical industry going through challenging times when demand would slump and there would be no takers for a month or two. So around the same time in China, the situation was that the exports from China to the world were coming under severe pressure. One of them was because what was happening between China and the United States. The other was Europe itself, a major market, suddenly getting into a crisis zone. And therefore, China was finding exports coming down significantly. But this was never planned. And what was really planned in China was if the demands of products are going to go up as they have usually been going, we need to create more capacities. And Chinese companies kept on investing into creating more and more capacities to meet the world demands. So last year we experienced a situation that not only the world was going through destocking and stopping purchase, but the slowing down of the economy in the world, particularly in Europe, created a situation in which, on one side, demand slumped, and on the other side, supplies from China was significantly up with new capacities coming up. Today, China is the world's largest producers of chemicals. It is about 12 times as big as India. And you can imagine that the rate at which they grew in capacities, and if those capacities are not consumed, worldwide, they would create a situation in which prices were at its minimal. The Chinese domestic market also was not picking up, and that caused to increase the pressure on Chinese companies to see how they could sell at any given any price worldwide. As a result, all of last year, in spite of the fact that demand started slowly improving, prices were under tremendous pressure, and companies worldwide, particularly in Europe, have found the year extremely difficult. Large companies in Germany have had to close down number of plants, and all over Europe there is a sense of trying to see how do we continue to survive. Even today, they say that the new capacities that have come up in China, if the growth doesn't take place, European industry is going to find itself priced out because of high cost of manufacturing in Europe. Under these circumstances, chemical industry, not only worldwide but also in India, faced several challenges. Most of the time, it was the issues relating to exports. Exports of intermediates for agrochemicals suffered the most because demand had stopped because of destocking. And then, even if demand started, prices had crashed and margins were under pressure. And a large number of chemical companies in India did not do well last year, that is the year 23-24. For your company, we also face some of these challenges where prices, as they came down, we were working hard to see how to still maintain a performance that we are reasonably proud of. A situation in which, as Deepak saw prices coming down, if we were talking about a 3,000 crore turnover in the previous year for the active ingredients business, it could have come down by almost 600-700 crores. But with all the efforts that the company did to keep on increasing volumes and increasing market shares wherever, we were able to close the year with just about 4 to 5% lower performance compared to the previous year. And so also by working extremely hard, not only in getting inputs competitively, but also working to increase energy efficiencies wherever, we were able to see that even our earnings were dropped by no more than 4% or so. I think two things have been helping the company besides the efforts that the company's team has been putting. One, the company continues to be in a very diversified portfolio. And therefore, somewhere or the other, the company does always get a chance to see how things can be improved. And second, the company is increasing its stake in the home market. With the business of phenol and acetone that we added last year, we were able to ensure that with price challenges, we are coping up with increased volumes from the same plant. And a business of phenol, which used to be earlier requiring to export some of its produce because the Indian markets wasn't picking up enough. Last year, we were able to see that not only whatever we were originally planning to produce was all sold out in India, but having increased our capacity utilization by almost 150%, we were able to sell even all that increased production in India. So being in India certainly has helped the company that prices may be under pressure, but markets and volumes have continued to support. Even in the first quarter of this year, we are finding steadily the businesses showing a little positive in terms of volume growth. We still have to see how prices can come back to the yesteryears. But compared to the last quarter, Q4, in Q1, you would have seen the results that we have performed marginally better, both for AI as well as overall as a company. As we go towards the coming years, I do feel that by the third quarter of this year, the world would have come back to much better performances than what we are seeing in these current times. For Deepak too, the third quarter and the fourth quarter would be a period where some of the projects that we have been investing in, we would start seeing its major impact. We have already commissioned one of the small plants, which helps us to get into the fluorination business last year. And this year, we are hoping to see one by one different projects coming into being. The solvents plant, which is going to be making MIBK, the nitric acid plant, which will be converting ammonia to nitric acid largely for in-house consumption, and some of the other specialty intermediates that we are bringing in. At the end of the year, I do believe that Deepak will be in a very envious position where each of our businesses which are core to the company, we would be continuing to see that we are creating a very strong base by integrating right from basic building blocks to the finished products. Perhaps in the world, there will not be a company like Deepak in, say, the agrochemical intermediate that we make, where we would be integrated right from toluene, which is a basic building block. Products that are going to be going into businesses like fuel additives and chemicals for the mining industry, as well as solvents like MIBK, would be integrated right from propylene, another basic building block. And similarly, when we are looking at the strength of Deepak Nitrite, which has been in nitration chemistry for the last 40 years, we would be now backward integrated right from the basic building block, which is ammonia. This integration backwards and forward has two big advantages. One, that we get to become very resilient in terms of being able to take the challenges worldwide in terms of our margins. Number two, every time we do this, we also open up other new opportunities to grow, having had the benefit of competitively priced inputs. And every time that we do, one of the thing is that our risk profile is actually reduced because we are not constantly getting into businesses which are new, but we are parallelly also getting into businesses where it is a home market. And therefore, our risk to that extent is mitigated. Finally, above all, a large number of these businesses are focused to the India market. The India market that is growing in spite of what is happening in the world. I am told that even a country like China is now facing a situation of dwindling young population, which is going to cause now a steadily reducing demand in their country. And when one looks at it, India is perhaps one of those very few countries in the world where demand continues to grow. Europe is down, China is going to be down, somewhere United States also may be into similar position, but countries like India, African countries, maybe Brazil are countries where there is still a lot of potential as the young population grows and increases consumption. Today, India for the chemical sector is about close to $300 billion, 260, $280 billion. And we expect that by 2027, we should cross $400 billion. And in the next 10 to 12 years, the chemical industry should certainly cross $1 trillion. That is a type of potential that is happening in India, not only because of the young population, but because of the government's investments into infrastructure, finally leading to improved quality of life of people and therefore their increasing needs, increasing requirements for having a happier life. Whether it is energy related, where we are talking about going as a country more into green energy, like solar, like wind, or energy efficient options like EVs. I don't know how many of you would have traveled to some of the rural places in India. We may not see it in cities, but in rural places, one finds a sea change in terms of the vehicles that move there, transporting people in small villages or small towns, which are all run by EV-based vehicles as taxis or as rickshaws. Not only have costs come down, but also to that extent, environment is much more cleaner in these rural places. Similarly, as a result of supporting the vast millions of people in India through various policies, the advent and the use of mobiles has been growing phenomenally and changing lives of people. When we look at these, we look at the electronic sector that is growing very well, the sectors that are increasingly improving energy consumption, like LEDs, for example, or like smart meters, for example. We are seeing a major transformation taking place in India. And when we look at this, we do know that we are making the right move if we are moving into a direction of growing along with what India needs most. That's how Deepak decided to first few years back invest into basic building blocks like phenol and acetone, which were going into more and more of the infrastructure sector, the plywoods, the laminates, etc. And today we are seeing that the rate of growth of these businesses is ensured that even having put up a world scale capacity 5 years back, we are required to run it at 150%. And yet, the demand continues to be growing very well. In the same way, we are feeling that the businesses that are now going to be driven by these sectors like electronics, like these sectors like infrastructure, like sectors like healthcare, are causing some businesses to grow consistently and keep on giving us a great opportunity. Some of these businesses that Deepak has picked up are, one of them has been to put up a plant to make material science based products like polycarbonate resins. These products go into making right from LED lamps that we are seeing today to a large number of FMCG goods. Wherever now the world wants, the country wants to make products which are lighter, smarter, polycarbonates is going to be one of the key raw materials that are going to be used. Whether it is tomorrow's 4G and 5G, again, polycarbonates would be playing an important role in the business. This is not the only reason why we have been looking at putting up a plant to make polycarbonates. India is importing about 200,000 tons of polycarbonates today and is growing at a healthy rate of 12 to 14%. But we are also looking at the situation in which what has made us strong, what could make us even stronger. 50% of the world's phenol plants are put up to make polycarbonates. And until now, polycarbonate was is only imported into India. I think it is a natural consequence that Deepak looks at going into the entire value chain from phenol to polycarbonate. The journey also would take us to making other intermediates like bisphenol A. Bisphenol A, you would know, also has a large use into epoxy resins. And today, again, India is a growth market for businesses like windmills, etc. And therefore, again, an import substitute which nobody else is making in the country. So all of these are the step-by-step value chain products that we feel would be best suited for the country's needs. As we put up these plants, we would also get into opportunities where we are making some other products which go into products like the paint industry, which go into businesses that are required for the infrastructure. And so the whole value chain of propylene to phenol to bisphenol to polycarbonate, this is the value chain we believe has a great opportunity in India. I have talked about this in the last year also. And somewhere in the last year, we also signed up with the government of Gujarat an MOU committing to invest up to 14,000 crores between various projects, including specialties, including the value chain products, and including products like polycarbonate. We are well on our way, but these are projects which are large. These are projects which would be taking also time. At the same time, in the last few months, we have made significant progress in studying various technologies which are being practiced, technologies that give specific benefits, technologies which are far more versatile. Our team has gone to countries where some of these are practiced well, and we have been in active dialogue with some of the major technology suppliers. We are hoping to see that before the end of this year, we're able to tie up almost all of these technologies and put together a plan to execute these projects. Again, one of the things that we have seen internationally and which we have been practicing is to constantly think of putting an integrated business plan where we are controlling the business from end to end. And we continue to believe that this is the right way of growing. And therefore, even to make these businesses, what we have done is to first get into a long-term contract and agreement for sourcing out our key raw material, which is propylene. Another large petrochemical company is planning to put up a propylene plant at Dahej. And we would now, when this plant starts up, we will be taking most of the propylene through pipeline from this company. From propylene, we would then look at doubling our phenol capacities. Most of the phenol would be then used to make bisphenol A, which would then be used to make polycarbonate resins. In terms of implementation, also we have some strategies where we may actually try and invest into first putting up the polycarbonate plant and then putting the upstream plants, including bisphenol and including the phenol plant. And even before the polycarbonate plant itself, the effort that we are doing is to create a capability to import the polycarbonate and start making compounds and start working with each and every major company in the country in the field of electronics, in the field of FMCG, to start getting our products become a part of their businesses, so that by the time the polycarbonate plant is set, we have well integrated into the Indian market and customers have well accepted our product range. Along with these, we would be then also looking at businesses like polymethyl methacrylate, another engineering polymer, which also is growing very well. At the same time, intermediates like methyl methacrylates, which are now largely used for the paint industry, and bisphenol A, which is largely used for the epoxy industry. All these would be also a fallout of these projects. We do hope and expect that these will be a major game changer to Deepak. Maybe what we did take 50 years to grow, in the next 5 years, we would have more than double the performance as a company and as a group. We, at the end of the day, while we do all of these, we are also getting opportunities to build such intermediates and building blocks that helps us to also parallelly look at making specialty chemicals, specialty products for the world, particularly in areas like pharma intermediates, agro intermediates, even products like mining chemicals which are used by the world, and end of the day, what we call them as effect chemicals, whether it is plastic or polymer additives. All of these would be produced one by one as we start putting the entire act together. And therefore, as I see it, while in the short run we do get into situations of how best to meet with the challenging times, or sometimes how best to meet with the sudden growth in opportunities, we are very, very focused to see that we have a clear map, a clear plan, and a clear vision of creating the new Deepak. Maybe 5 years from now, as you and me again meet together to share the story of the new Deepak, it would also be in the new India that is being also created parallelly. Before I conclude, I also would like to share a few other points. One of them being that while we are doing all these, I'm extremely happy and my heart goes to these initiatives, the effort that we are doing through Deepak Foundation to see how we can help the millions to the people around through our CSR activities. We are going to be supporting one hospital here in Baroda, which has been working for the last many years in areas relating to free medical care for young children. And we are helping them to again strengthen their facilities. In the last couple of years, we have helped more than 12 lakh people in terms of identifying them if they have tuberculosis, and have worked to see that a large number of them who were identified, we have worked together to see that they have been coming out of these challenges. Be it education to children, where when I start looking at the numbers, they are totaling up to more than a few thousand. Taking care of children in terms of orphanages, working with villages to see how we can improve quality of life by just being the catalyst between the government and the people, to see that the number of schemes that the government is bringing are made available to people. In this last 1 year itself, I think we have been able to catalyze bringing more than 300 crores of direct benefits to people in these several villages. And all of this makes me feel that while we work hard, while we are focused and concentrating on our businesses and doing well, it is also the prayers and the good wishes and the blessings that we are continuing to get from people who are helped through these foundation activities. In all of these, as we complete our performances, I am not only ably supported by a very strong team, a strong board of directors, as you would have seen, a strong management team, but also my two sons, Maulik and Meghav, have joined in to strengthen the focus on the businesses. In the chemical industry, the two critical things that are now happening, one of them has been issues relating to responsible care or responsible chemistry, as we say. And the other is that as we move quickly, how we embrace smart ways of working are the two things that the two young champions are bringing on the table, making my life easier and my life more predictable as to what we will be able to achieve. Can I request Maulik and Meghav to maybe add a couple of points on what is happening on responsible care and what is happening on smart management?
Thank you, Chairman. So over the last few quarters, I think about 8 to 10 quarters, we've seen such a significant increase in the kind of costs that we incur in energy, in steam, in power, in water, that this goes hand in hand with also improvements on margin expansion and energy intensity. So just over the last year, we have more than doubled our score on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. We've had a double rating upgrade when it comes to CDP. We have already developed our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions and targets. We are collaborating with business partners upstream and downstream to build Scope 3 together. And while we're doing all of this, we've also commissioned the first multi-fuel boiler in the chemical industry in India. And this completely does away with the need for fossil fuels. We have commissioned acid concentration units, which will reduce our net carbon impact as well as reduce our fresh sources for the raw materials. And across the board, at all of our locations, Deepak Nitrite, phenolics, everywhere we've taken extremely stringent and aspirational targets for increasing our effectiveness and reducing our carbon footprint. Many of these results are already well documented. Many more will be documented in the next financial year, in this financial year's results. So we look forward to continuing this kind of trajectory even as we continue to make new investments.
Thank you, Maulik, and thank you, Chairman. Your company has been taking great efforts in not just doing more, but doing what they are doing currently better. And there are a lot of things a lot of initiatives that we've been taking on under smart working, and a few of them have been highlighted in the past, but allow me this opportunity to share with you a few more. As you guys are aware that about a year or so ago, we implemented advanced process control for our plant. This basically is algorithmic operations of the entire facility. And in the last year, what we've managed to do is actually integrate this with our laboratory management system. And that takes in the samples from the plants. We analyze the samples, and automatically now our laboratory management system itself tells the plant how it needs to operate better. So the only manual step remaining in this process is the extraction of the sample from the unit. This as an experiment has worked out as a prototype, and now we are hoping to scale this up to more of our facilities and ensure that the future facilities are designed with this inbuilt. To ensure that this continues, a strong platform needed to be there in place, and we had started our SAP implementation a few years ago. Happy to share that Deepak Phenolics had a successful migration into SAP, at least the business critical elements, without any hiccups, and it was a smooth transition. We have had a lot of learnings from that experience that we are now translating to the implementation at Deepak Nitrite and Deepak Chemtech as well. How are we actually using this to make our working smarter is that there were 400 different pain points that were identified that have been resolved. But the most important part is that we have improved the user's experience significantly. So the time it takes to onboard and train a new individual onto the system, their ability to understand what they are working on and how they are performing. We've really reduced the learning curve with the new system. And the intention is that these systems will continue to grow with us, develop with us. They're agile and they evolve. And how much ever we may work on systems, in the long run, we are, as an organization, we're a group of people with a similar objective. There is a similar emphasis being put on people development as well. It is not just in tech. We're looking at as an industry, we are noticing a significant skill gap as a risk. And digitization could be one mechanism for de-risking, but it is not the only, and it cannot be the only. So we're taking significant efforts in improving and developing in our learning and development, in our organization development, just to ensure that the people that join us, the people that we groom internally are ready to not just ensure that the business sustainability continues, but are the ones who are leading the way and building the future of our organization. And these two things, I believe, are the right move for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Maulik. Thank you, Megha. I believe now that if there are any questions, I may invite the speaker shareholders who have registered themselves. Can I request the moderator to take over?
Thank you, sir. I request the speaker shareholders to limit their queries to not more than 3 minutes each and ask questions or provide suggestions which are relevant to the company. The response to the queries shall be provided together at the end. Our first speaker is Mr. Manjeet Singh. Mr. Singh, please provide your DPI ID and client ID before asking your question. You may ask your question now. Mr. Singh.
मैनेजमेंट टीम, कैपिटल टीम और माय को शेयर होल्डर सभी का मैं स्वागत करता हूं। 1971 से जिस तरह से हमारी कंपनी चलती आ रही है, इस साल के अंदर जो है आपको शेयर बाजार के अंदर भी बहुत अच्छा रिस्पांस मिला है और शेयर का मूल्य जो बाजार आंकता है और इन्वेस्टर आंकता है, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा आंका है और आपकी परफॉर्मेंस के हिसाब से शेयर का मूल्य उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा दिया है आपको। आज भी करीब अगर 3,000 का शेयर है तो करीब 80-100 रुपए की बढ़ोतरी आज भी आपके शेयर में है। इसका हम आपको बधाई देना चाहेंगे। हमारा जो बोर्ड है वो जितने तरह के हम कार्य में है तो खैर केमिकल का ही, लेकिन ये जितने कार्य हैं आपके एग्रोकेमिकल, पेंट, कॉस्मेटिक, रबड़ और बल्क केमिकल, ये सबको हम पॉजिटिव दे पा रहे हैं या कुछ डीमर्जर की उम्मीद हम आपसे करें? डीमर्जर होने के बाद शायद आप इसको ज़्यादा रिस्पांस दे पाए अपनी कंपनी को, जो इतने सारे अलग अलग हमारे कार्य हैं। हम जो अपना केमिकल है उसमें पेंट डिवीजन और जो एग्रोकेमिकल है या कुछ ऐसा है रबड़ का भी, तो उसमें कैसे कैसे अलग अलग अपने हमारे डिपार्टमेंट हैं या अलग अलग प्रोडक्शन जो हमारी यूनिट है वो किस तरह से हम उनको अलग रखते हैं कि उसमें एक दूसरे की सेल पर इफेक्ट ना पड़े और कंप्लीट चलती रहे। आप उस बारे में थोड़ा बताएंगे तो शेयर होल्डर को अच्छा लगेगा। हमारे चेयरमैन सर दीपक सिंह मेहता जी से मैं ये जानना चाहूँगा कि हमारी प्रमोटर होल्डिंग करीब 50% की है, उसके कारण ये जो इनसाइड ट्रेडिंग हम करा रहे हैं, ये जो 28 जून 2024 को ILA डी मेहता जी ने जो है 1,46,000 शेयरों की कोई ट्रांजैक्शन करी है 2504 रुपए के ऊपर। दीपक सिंह मेहता जी ने भी 4 मार्च 2024 को 22,420 शेयरों का कोई ट्रांजैक्शन किया है। ये मेहता फैमिली से ही और साहा कोई हैं, उन्होंने भी 22,420 शेयरों की ये ट्रांजैक्शन जो हुई है ये कोई गिफ्ट दिए हैं आपने? किस तरह से गिफ्ट ट्रांजैक्शन मेहता फैमिली के अंदर हो रही है, उसका इम्पैक्ट मतलब शेयर होल्डर क्या पॉजिटिव समझे या ये हमारे लिए कोई नेगेटिव न्यूज है? ये आपकी जो 50% के करीब की होल्डिंग है 49.24% की, तो कंपनी अच्छा कर रही है, सरप्लस भी हमारे पास अच्छा है और सरप्लस हमारा बड़ा है पहले के मुकाबले, पिछले साल के मुकाबले के जो है। तो ये हम आपसे बायबैक की उम्मीद कर रहे हैं सर। बोर्ड मीटिंग में आप कोई बायबैक का प्रस्ताव लाएं। ये जो आप कर रहे हैं इनसाइड ट्रेडिंग, ये आने वाले टाइम में अच्छी बात नहीं है। आज सरकारें हमारे हित में होती हैं, कई बार 5 साल में सरकारें बदल जाती हैं और फिर उनके लक्ष्य इन चीजों पर आते हैं। तो ये जो आप इनसाइड ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं या करा रहे हैं या जो भी कुछ है, आप इसको जो है अपना प्रमोटर होल्डिंग आपने बढ़ानी है, सो सिंपली बायबैक लाइए आप, वो ज्यादा अच्छा है। और जो ये स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर हैं हमारे, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर हैं हमारे, ये जो है डिलोटेड हॉकिंस एंड सेल LLP, ये किस तरह की बैलेंस शीट में कुछ कार्य होता है? कोई इनका जो है एड्रेस प्रोवाइड नहीं है, कोई ईमेल प्रोवाइड नहीं है, तो ये कौन सी जगह से हैं, थोड़ा आप इस बारे में बताएं। स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर जो है कंज एंड कंपनी LLP, इनका भी कोई मेल या कोई एड्रेस प्रोवाइड नहीं है, तो ये कोई ब्रांडेड तो है नहीं। शायद इनके नाम का कोई और भी कोई ऑडिटर हो या इन्होंने अपना पेटेंट ले रखा है कि इनके नाम से कोई और नहीं होगा। अगर इन्होंने अपनी मेल आईडी दी हो तो मेल आईडी सेम नहीं होती, मेल आईडी अलग ही होती है। तो आप इनको कहिए कि आप जो है अपना मेल आईडी प्रोवाइड कराएं और अपना एड्रेस प्रोवाइड कराएं, तो वो ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा। ये जो है हमारे CS साहब हैं अरविंद जी सी, ये मैं जानना चाहूँगा कि इस क्वार्टर के अंदर जो है इन्वेस्टरों द्वारा ये जो कंप्लेंट्स आई हैं 2, वो किस तरह की हैं और उसका सामना हम किस तरह से कर रहे हैं, वो कंप्लेंट्स ऑलरेडी सॉल्व हो गई हैं या वो अभी पाइपलाइन में है, थोड़ा इस बारे में अगर अरविंद वाजपेयी जी भी ब्रीफ करेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा। ये जो एक्सपेंडर के ऊपर है, थोड़ा भी इस बारे में भी आप अगर बताएंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा। रिजर्व सरप्लस हमारा बड़ा है, पिछले साल करीब 2597 करोड़ का था और इस साल 2927 करोड़ का है। 7 रुपया 50 पैसा डिविडेंड हमने पिछले साल भी दिया था और 7 रुपया 50 पैसा डिविडेंड इस साल भी दिया है। तो ये सरप्लस अगर हमारा बड़ा है तो इसके बाद जो है कुछ डिविडेंड में बढ़ोतरी होना बनती थी या नहीं, ये हमारे से बेहतर जो है हमारा बोर्ड जानता है। तो अगर
मंजीत
ऐसा
जी,
कोई
आपको रिक्वेस्ट किया जाता है कि आप अपने क्वेश्चंस 3 मिनट के लिए आप
चलो, मैं कुछ
कंप्लीट
क्वेश्चन है
करिए
वो
प्लीज।
मेल पर भेज दूंगा और मेरी आपसे थोड़ी सी दरखास्त रहेगी, आपसे अपील रहेगी कि अपना भी आप जवाब अगर मेल पर दें तो ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा। और इसी तरह हंसते खिलते हुए आप इस कंपनी को चलाते रहें। जिस तरह के रिजल्ट आपने सालों से दिए हैं, जो दीपक ग्रुप है उस पर हमेशा इन्वेस्टर का भरोसा रहा है और उन्होंने इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है और आप जो है इन्वेस्टमेंट का जवाब आपने हमेशा अच्छे रिटर्न के रूप में दिया है। इसी तरह से आप कंपनी को चलाते रहें। हम यही चाहेंगे कि हमारी कंपनी दिन दूनी रात चौगुनी तरक्की करे। बस चेयरमैन साहब जो अपना ब्रीफ करेंगे उसको मेल पर जरूर प्रोवाइड करा देना। मेरे जो क्वेश्चन कुछ रह गए हैं वो भी मैं अरविंद वाजपेयी जी को अपना मेल पर प्रोवाइड करा दूंगा। अगर उनका कोई और पर्सनल नंबर या कोई इस तरह मेल आईडी हो तो मुझे प्रोवाइड करा दी जाए। जो मेरी ग्रेवेंस या क्वेश्चन है वो कंपनी के हित में ही हैं और मैं उनसे चाहूंगा कि मैं उनके आगे अपनी बात को रख सकूं। थैंक यू फॉर द मैनेजमेंट टीम, थैंक यू फॉर द सेक्रेटरियल टीम।
Thank you, Mr. Manjit. We have noted your suggestions. Our next speaker is Mr. Jaideep Bakshi. Mr. Bakshi, you are requested to provide your DPID and client ID before asking your questions. You may ask your questions now.
Can I switch on my video? Okay. Very good afternoon, Chairman, MD, and Board of Directors. Myself, Jaideep Bakshi, connecting from the city of Kolkata. First, I convey my thanks to our Company Secretary, Arvind Bajpai for giving me an opportunity to express my views, and also to Mr. Chirag Shukla ji of our Secretarial Department for keeping in constant touch with us and maintaining good investor-friendly relation with the fair shareholders. Sir, your initial speech was very much informative and descriptive also. So we are in the leading manufacturing of advanced intermediaries and chemical. So what is the chemical capacity utilizations of our plants and how are we placed from our peers? And what are the steps are we taking up or thinking of for this maintaining this continuous growth momentum? We should keep this up. And we have various applications end use also. So any new area of penetration are we thinking of or new area of business? And what is our focus on operation excellence and thoughts on spreading our customer base? Kindly share some lights. And regarding this technical expertise through this joint venture and adoption of advanced technology like the AI or the ML, deliver best-in-class products through our R&D, kindly show some lights. Sir, our product supports Make in India, and how much do we help us as an import substitute? And raw material cost-wise, it's and the inflation, how much is affecting our margins? Regarding effluent, can we have any byproducts generation so that we can be a new product also? And how are we planning to dispose of the same? And what are our thoughts regarding the hazardous waste? And capacity upgradation program, any if you can share and throw some light, and also regarding the specialty chemical, and also throw some lights on the green energy and reduce which can also reduce the fuel cost, and CSR activities through Deepak Foundation are always great serving these underprivileged sectors. And nothing to add more. I supported all the resolutions and kindly continue with this video conference so we can connect up. and wish our company under your leadership and support of all staff and workforce and the management staff with the help of latest technology and new young blood on our board, company rise to greater heights and with the trust of all stakeholders. Thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity. Namaskar.
Thank you, Mr. Bakshi. We have noted your suggestions and queries. Our next speaker is Mr. Niro Jimudia. Mr. Jimudia, please provide your DPID and client ID. And now
Am
you
I
can ask
audible,
your
sir?
question. Yeah, you're audible, Mr. Jimudia.
Yeah, my name is Neerav Jimodia and my DPID is IN 30115122924874. So I have a few questions. But first of all, I would like to congratulate the entire team of Deepak for giving us such an informative annual report, giving a lot of information about the business, global chemical industry, and the various initiatives being taken by the company over a period of time. Sir, I have 4-5 questions to ask. So first one is on we have decided to put up an integrated complex consisting of various products for which we have signed an MOU with the government of Gujarat. So, be it MMA, PMMA, PC, and the aniline which you mentioned in your opening remarks. If you can share your thought process as to how we have decided to zero down on these products and how many years of study of our company has gone into for finalizing such a big capex for which we are now going ahead. Also, during next 3-4 years, when we would execute such a large scale project, what sort of challenges you could face on in execution of such plans, and if you can correlate this with the manpower, source of funding the capex, technology partners, land acquisition, and doing it cost effectively when our actual production starts. So this is question number one. So second question is, our annual report speaks a lot of things on improving yields and cost optimization across the value chain of products. So if you can correlate this with our existing product category and help us explain out of the total product basket what we have, in how many products we have achieved yield improvement, and because of which the cost benefits would have accrued to us on an annual basis. And over next 2-3 years, are there any such projects lined up in our existing category of products which can further help us in yield improvement and cost benefits? Third question is, to the niche product categories which we have in the advanced intermediate business, what differentiate us in terms of our competitors in getting those contracts? And if you can correlate this with reference to the technology effluents being generated out of those products, cost structure, and the backward integration. Fourth question is, we have faced challenges in some of our product categories in the advanced intermediate business in FY24 based on the subdued demand from the user industries, which is also visible from the sales breakup what we have given in the annual report. So which of these product categories which you feel which has not done well in FY24 could do well in FY25 based on our judgment about the user industries and our interactions with them? And what sort of volume growth can we expect in the advanced intermediate business in FY25? Fifth question is, how many new products which we have launched in the advanced intermediate business in FY24 and over last 2-3 years? Last question is, if you can share the requirement of power across our both the facilities like the advanced intermediates and the Deepak Phenolics, and along with it, if you can share the mix of renewable power which we currently are using at both the locations. Thank you so much, sir. I wish you all the best and I support all the resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Jimudia. We have noted your suggestions and queries. Our next speaker is Mr. Digant Mehta. Mr. Mehta, please provide your DPID and client ID before asking your questions. Now you can ask your questions.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Mehta, you are audible.
My name is Digant Mehta. My DPID is IN 3008881399870. First, let me congratulate to the entire board of director and management team for giving the superlative performance for the financial year 23-24 as well as for the first quarter of 25. During the very informative speech of our chairman, sir, we came to know that we have already started plants like chlorination as well as nitric acid, and we are in the process of starting new plants in the field of bisphenol as well as polymer. So I would like to know, and you have already mentioned in your annual report regarding developing a new R&D center by March 25. So please let us know our current R&D capability and what new developments we shall be undertaking in new large facility. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Our next speaker is Mr. Viraj Parekh. Mr. Parekh, please provide your DPID and client ID and ask your question. Mr. Parekh.
For demonstrating solid resilience amidst a challenging financial year 24. Some of my
Can
questions
you please
are.
repeat your question? You were inaudible in the beginning.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I'll repeat my comment. I would firstly like to congratulate and convey my regards to Deepak Bhai, Maulik Bhai, and the entire team at Nitrite for demonstrating solid resilience amidst a challenging financial year 24. So my questions are majorly surrounding our plans in terms of the polycarbonate resins facility. So by when can we expect commissioning of our PC resins facility? At optimum utilization levels, what kind of revenues can we target with regards to our PC resins facility? And at these utilization levels, what are the kind of EBITDA margins we are looking at? That's all from my side. Wishing the team all the very best for times to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parekh. Our next speaker is Mr. Deepak Joshi. Mr. Joshi, please provide your DPID and client ID.
Respected Chairman, am I audible, sir? Yeah.
Yes, you are audible, Mr. Joshi.
Yeah, thank you. Respected Chairman, sir, the Board of Directors and fellow shareholders. Good afternoon to everyone. At the outset, Chairman, sir, I would congratulate for an excellent speech. Out of the many AGMs that I've attended in my career, it was the best speech that I've ever heard. Sir, we are a new shareholder. Actually, I'm representing PineBridge Global Funds, and we are a very new shareholders in the company. And this is the first AGM that I'm attending. So I would, and although your speech covered a lot of aspects, but I would request
Mr.
you
Joshi, can you be a bit louder? Your voice is not clear.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would request you to provide further insights into the queries. On the advanced intermediates business, what are the key products in our segment? We have seen a sharp contraction in the operating margin for this segment over the past few years. It would be helpful if you could provide some color on what led to this and how do you see the demand and pricing environment for these products. Lastly, we have grown very well in the past few years. What are the biggest hurdles for us to grow faster? And sir, it would be an honor and privilege for us if we can meet you at Baroda in the near future. I'd sent the email for my questions, so you already touched upon the first two questions that I had submitted. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi. Our next speaker is Mr. Jayesh Manek. Mr. Manek, please provide your DPID and client ID and ask your question.
Sir, are you able to hear me?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Manek, you are audible.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Jayesh Manek here. Proud and happy shareholder for last several years. Let me tell you and inform you that we are holding our AGM in a good auspicious period that is Shravan Mahina. Thanks for holding the AGM in the Shravan Mahina. Please give me opportunity to speak little more as we are able to meet once a year. And this is the AGM. Company's AGM is like Diwali and Ganesh festival, one of the important landmarks. Now coming to congrats on the company's good results in spite of tough economy and the war going on between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Gaza and yesterday's Bangladesh development. Thanks for good dividend of rupees 7.5. Sir, we are expecting in yesterday's quarterly Q1 results, analysts and astrologers were predicting interim dividend from Deepak Nitrite, sir, which has not happened. But in Q2, we may expect interim dividend, sir. Sir, we have got 7 subsidiaries. Deepak Phenolics, Deepak Chemtech, Deepak Nitrite, Deepak PMC, Deepak Oman, Narmada Thermal Power. I would like to know what will be the subsidiaries sales in at the time of full capacity utilization. No doubt Deepak Phenol is already in operation and galloping at a lightning speed. Thanks for taking over Narmada Thermal Power. What will be the power reduction to Deepak Nitrite in the times to come, taking over this power company? Chairman, sir, going through annual report, page 246, I find our senior management salaries not as comparable to other competitor companies, sir. And that's why I feel that you're little bit not too big-hearted in proposing higher dividend or not yet proposed bonus shares for last several years, sir. We don't mind our company senior management, chairman, MD, EDs, and CFO for the salary rise. But please see that our dividend and we see a bonus shares of Deepak Nitrite in our lifespan soon, sir. Your smiling face message on page 14 confirms that next Q2 also will be good and bonus likely in the coming year for year ending 31st March 2025. The CEO communique, Mr. Maulik Mehta, also big smiling snap photo and an interesting article. Going for seeing the article of Mr. Meghav Mehta is a good one, but not a smiling face, sir. Why he looks too serious? Why he should be alert and more serious when we all know that we are getting continuous blessings from your great daddy, living God, Mr. C.K. Mehta, and your mummy Kantaben. So tell him to have little smile, sir. Every time smile will keep the doctors away and cheerful. Sir, our equity capital is 27 crores and reserves are 4769 crores, sir. Sahib, our reserves are overflowing like heavy monsoons. Sahib, થોડુંક મોટું દિલ રાખો, થોડીક ચિંગુસગીરી ઓછી કરો અને propose bonus at the earliest. So the promoters also benefit and we are also able to see the bonus in our lifetime, sir. Our children keep on asking કે દીપકનું bonus ક્યારે આવશે, સાહેબ? મેં તો આ જન્મમાં આવશે. Don't worry, before I go into heaven and meet your father and my darling daughter in heaven. Going through the staff list, we have 2,000 and odd employees in the organization. Why we have only woman power very less, sir? Hardly 158. Why can't you increase the woman power, sir? Why you are against the woman power or prejudice against the woman power, sir? We have one board member, a woman power. I would humbly request our board to consider to bring in Ila Babi and Maulik's wife onto the board. If Deepak Fertilizer can have Mrs. Parul on the board, why not our promoters bring in woman power on the board, sir? Even in politics, we have woman power very powerful. Kamala Harris is fighting against for US election for presidentship, sir. So please consider woman power on the board, sir. At the earliest, increase the woman power. Also, increase the woman strength to our existing company secretary department to assist our main company secretaries, Mr. Bajpai and Mr. Chirag Shukla, sir. Reliance Industries have a lot of women secretaries assisting the main company secretary. Sir, I was expecting our company to have our own Deepak Nagar. Instead, you took the office premises in Alembic City and Alembic Nagar, sir. congrats on having our new independent office building and coming closer to the city. But please see that we have our own Deepak Nagar and Deepak City rather than even today we have importance more of Alembic than Deepak. When I come to your office, they say it is Alembic City, not Deepak City or Deepak Nagar, sir. Please bear in mind for future Deepak Nagar and Deepak City. So, sir, we are growing at leaps and bounds. You recently announced in the company's today's AGM also that you have signed MOU with the Gujarat government for 14,000 crore projects worth projects of 14,000 crores. How are you going to finance the project, sir? And can we expect rights in the near future so that we let the shareholders also participate in the progress and prosperity of the company? Recently, you announced a ESOP, employee stock option for the company staff welfare. It is a bold move in the right direction, which will enhance our company's employees' loyalty to Deepak Group in the times to come, sir. Sir, please conduct company shareholders plant visit to Dahej, sir. We have seen everything only on paper. Deepak Phenolic growing at great speed, lightning speed. But please conduct a shareholders plant visit to Dahej. Sir, congrats on the good company's annual report. Colorful compliments to the companies, both the secretaries Chirag Shukla and Mr. Bajpai, sir. Very colorful, very transparent, and very detailed one, sir. So we are happy. No doubt it's a costly annual report cost. Sir, I humbly request you to reintroduce our company's evergreen retail fixed deposit, which was there in existence for last several years. Deepak Nitrite Limited fixed deposit, sir. Today, many companies don't pay on time and the investors get trapped. Good companies are very few. Companies like Mahindras and Mahindras, Godrej, Bajaj Finserv, all are accepting retail fixed deposits. Seek the blessings of the shareholders and the FD holders. Reintroduce this retail FD at the earliest, sir. Shortly, sir, Jain possession is going to start, sir. I humbly request and wishing all my Jain brothers, employees, shareholders, Michhami Dukadam in advance. Pray for all in your Jain possession. And I support all the resolutions, especially the reappointment of your second son, Mr. Meghav Mehta. And all the best for the future. Don't worry. आगे बढ़ो हम आपके साथ है. You are a God-fearing person and a very religious person. The country will strengthen further. The Deepak management, we are there to strengthen the hands and God is there to protect and strengthen hands of the management. Jai Hind, Jai Gujarat and Jai Maharashtra.
Thank you, Mr. Manek. As there are no other registered speaker shareholders, I request the chairman to kindly respond to the questions.
Thank you, friends. Mr. Singh was inquiring about how we are able to keep specific focus for special segments of industries like agrochemicals, like pharma intermediates, like dyestuffs and colors intermediates. So I think one thing that is common is that the thread of the value chain that is used to make either of these, somewhere along, they all merge, which is the key strength of Deepak. At the same time, one being very close to customers. Being very close to customers, learning from them what their needs are, also supports us in terms of developing the right business, right products that they want. Our another strength has been the research and development efforts, where different businesses work together close to each other, and that becomes actually a strength in terms of a particular way of looking at a problem, we would have multiple solutions, somebody looking at it from a particular business segment, somebody looking at it from another business segment. I can give you an example where we were finding that one product had lost its market in the country as end users had stopped using it. It was another team in the research which started saying we could actually find a new use for this to be used not as a chemical, but as a solvent. And that's how we entered into a new solvent business. And that is therefore I would say the strength of the company, that versatility actually helps us to become stronger and offer to customers much more than they would get from just single use or single focus businesses. You mentioned about buyback. I am at least whatever the trend that is there by the latest budget, I believe buyback is not so well encouraged now, as a lot of companies, I believe, were using buyback more as a way of sharing dividends and avoiding dividend tax. With regard to Deloitte, Deloitte, you may be aware, is literally the top 4 companies in not only in the country but in the world in terms of chartered accountants, and we will certainly ask them to share more details in our balance sheet. Mr. Bakshi did ask about capacity utilization, and I'm afraid to answer this because every time we run a capacity to full, the technical team is always there to find solutions of how do we get even more out of these. As I mentioned to you, in each of the plants that we are having today, we are running our capacities full out, but at the same time, the teams are constantly thinking how do we really find ways to debottleneck and again create capacities, potential capacities. In a sense, a full glass becomes half full just by the technology team constantly looking at innovating. We have been looking at the R&D, which is helping us to develop new strengths, new skills, particularly looking at businesses where catalysis is an option and developing new catalyst-based products. At the same time, as I earlier mentioned, there would be businesses which are to do with other specialty markets or different effect chemical markets. That's where our research and development team helps us. We have, as I mentioned last year, 100+ strong R&D team, and in the coming year, we are planning to put up a brand new investment in ultra modern research facility very close to Baroda, where we would be continuing to put our focus on research in areas which are relating to what helps us as a chemical technology. Furthermore, with all the efforts in material science, our research activities would then be even broad-based to look at what we can add over there. But the benefit of Deepak Nitrite, that we are not in only one segment, helps us to constantly look at growth in multiple segments. Sometimes it's agrochemicals, sometimes it's corrosion chemicals, sometimes it's rubber chemicals, sometimes it's pharma intermediates. So it's thanks to a good research team that we are able to constantly look at new opportunities. Nirav was asking how did we zero down on the polycarbonate and these other businesses. So I would only share that I'm a very, very firm believer in my country and the way the country is growing. And keeping that in mind, the idea has been to see, okay, if the country grows the way it is, what are the new segments of opportunity that are going to open up, which really helps us to start seeing such opportunities for growth. The other issue is also constantly benchmarking with China. That if there are certain businesses which have grown very well in China, which is also a country with large population, sooner than later those businesses have to come in India. And that is the other issue that you start looking at what will be good for tomorrow's Indian as they improve their quality of life. So these efforts, these reviews help us to look at businesses and keep on changing according to the way the changes are taking place in the country in terms of futuristic product needs. So yes, execution challenges are always there, where we look at putting up new plants. We always want to be both cost effective and at the same time complete projects as quickly as possible. And at the same time, when we look at new businesses, some being volume driven, some being specialties, challenges to, how do you say, get all of these opportunities working at the same time are there. But that's where we have a strong team, and as what Meghav mentioned, that constantly looking at smart working, trying to use different tools for execution are certainly a big help. On improving yields, I think we are a science-driven company, and we always work to see where can we ensure what we call as atom efficiency. We always look at products not from cradle to grave, but look at how do we convert them from cradle to cradle. And in this area, we continue to look at how do we valorize products from what we have, how do we extract out. A recent example by the phenol team has been to put up a facility to extract out from our byproduct a specialty product called acetophenone, which is used more for flavors and fragrances. And this too also has been based on research done at our site and the team putting together such ideas. Maybe Maulik may like to add a couple of them.
Thank you, Chairman. So, yeah, I think this is one of the key strengths that the company does possess. When we look at a product, we look at how we can add value by, going downstream, going upstream, valorizing, etc. So even as Chairman mentioned, that in Deepak Phenolics, they are targeting at least a handful of products to start off with acetophenone, but many others will follow, which will come from cuts made during the manufacturing process of phenol and cumene. Similarly, in Deepak Nitrite, I think now there are about 4 products which have been able to get an enhanced atom efficiency, energy intensity, which has allowed it to get debottlenecked, while at the same time also reducing the overall cost and improving the margin. Meanwhile, there are also a couple of examples where site-wide we have reduced the effluent volume as far and also increased the quality of effluent to make it treatable with smaller facilities. Now, all of these add it to the total cost of the product. And as we move towards a much better demand expectation from the industry, all of these will now benchmark at a higher margin, at a higher price, and a higher efficiency as compared to our peers, whether they are Indian or non-Indian.
Thank you. So another question was, what differentiates us vis-a-vis our competitors? I think this differentiates us vis-a-vis our competitors. This idea of constantly looking at atom efficiency, this idea of looking at where the growth lies, this idea of constantly looking at integrated plants, this idea of looking at versatility as our key strength. There was a question about challenges that the industry is facing. So certainly challenges have been there, as a lot of us in the industry have been still driving growth more because of their internal enthusiasm and energy. But we would much love to see the government working to improve infrastructure the way today it is there. Things are improving. Today, it used to take almost 2.5, 3 hours to go to Dahej. Now it is 1.5 hours. But we also have a lot to do if we have to catch up with the world in terms of competitive and safe manufacturing. The other challenge also is to see how the government is able to help support Atmanirbharta in these times when the world, like China, has been talking about just producing and dumping products world over. How do we in these times constantly look at strengthening the Indian manufacturing base so that one day India is not even afraid of China? But in that interim period, we need to have the confidence and the trust that we can do it. And this is where we certainly need the government to support us beyond what they have been promising. There was a question about how many new products. So as I mentioned to you, as we lay the foundation of making volume chemicals, building blocks, we are actually creating a plethora of opportunities for newer products. And there are several different business groups in the company which look at different business opportunities, and each different segment or group comes up with 2 or 3 new ideas. Some take a little time, some are able to get them immediately. But I do see that in the next 5 years, we would have significantly increased not only volume, but also the number of products that we are offering to the marketplace. Regarding power, yes, we have been not only a large consumer of power, but also have been generating our own power through better utilization of the steam that we generate. We have been looking at some of the ideas like renewable as a good option and trying to see how we can blend it along with the businesses that we are in. Some of the options like bio coal usage have already started in different parts of the company, and we are constantly seeing how we can work to minimize the need of power or need of energy itself, so that we are able to contribute towards a better world for tomorrow. I've already shared about the R&D facilities. Viraj Parekh asked about PC resin facility, and I have mentioned that we are between now and the next 4 years at different stages. We are working to see how the complete integrated plan comes up. As I mentioned to you, the PC resin plant, we may try to bring it some few months earlier in order to be in the marketplace. And the rest of the inputs that a PC resin requires could be always produced one by one. If we were doing the reverse, we would be needing the marketplace for our products. But if we are doing the finished product first, then integrating backwards becomes a lot more easier. With regard to EBITDA margins, generally we have been looking at maintaining or slightly improving EBITDA margins. But at the end of the day, each and every business that comes up, the whole idea is that with similarly performing EBITDA margins, if we are able to double our growth, then we are doing the right thing for our shareholders. Mr. Deepak Joshi was also asking about the biggest hurdles. One of the, besides the infrastructure issue, another big hurdle that we see in the coming years, not only for us, but for industry at large, is availability of skilled people. As the country grows from one way of working to a much better way, the need for having people who are much better skilled becomes very, very essential. And this is something that not only our own company, but we all in the industry need to do to keep on working to reskill the teams that we have, to keep on making them more and more competent. Jayesh Manek mentioned about interim dividend. So I'm not sure whether I give it together as one dividend or if I break it into parts as interim dividend. Does it make any major difference? But we'll keep his suggestions in mind. He has mentioned about 7 subsidiaries. So all along the approach has been to keep on developing these subsidiaries more like special purpose vehicles, that they are for a particular focus and they are required to ensure that that focus is not lost out. Like the way we created this special subsidiary for phenol and acetone, which was a totally different business. That is the reason why we felt that it is good to keep it as a subsidiary, as a focused business. Similarly, some of the other subsidiaries are where we are now looking at growth, where it is a more complex opportunity between volume-based businesses and between specialty businesses. That's how Deepak Chemtech, the other subsidiary, has been created. Some subsidiaries like Deepak PMC are smaller subsidiaries, more focused to seeing that we create a strong execution team, because we believe that growth will continue to be a way of life at Deepak, even beyond these 5 years. And therefore, creating a company which is on project excellence will ensure that not only we grow for products within, but even for inter-subsidiary projects, the same project team can support the growth of the business. Why woman power less? I agree with you, Mr. Manik, and on my board, Ms. Purvi Sheth, she has been actively, strongly and actively recommending how do we work to improve the woman power. Efforts are on, and we are trying to see how to make the woman talent work hand in hand with the men talent. Let us hope that in the coming years we are able to work towards this situation. Internally, we have said that it would be a lovely thing to see at least 20 to 25% of the strength of the team comes from woman power. Regarding financing of projects, yes, we have taken major investments in hand, and Deepak today is in a very, very solid position with literally zero debt, as you may have seen. And even on current businesses, if we have to raise money, we can raise as much as 4,000 to 5,000 crores. When these new projects come up, that always is a possibility. But we would certainly look at what is the right mix and bring it and plan it out at the right time. Because at the end of the day, you would have seen in the last 55 years, 52 years, that we have always been very conservative when it comes to financing and fundraising. So I'm sure that we will keep this in mind as we continue to grow. We have been not very keenly looking at fixed deposits. There were times in earlier days when that was a good idea, but in current days, we find that the cost of maintaining fixed deposits vis-a-vis the benefit, the company doesn't gain much. And here, therefore, we are taking more in the interest of the company, or so to say, in the interest of the shareholders, to ensure that as long as we are able to get funds from banks and others, we should not be looking at fixed deposits. And as of now, we are not taking any money, any loans at all. So maybe one day fixed deposit could be the last option that we would ever think of after having taken loans from other places. With these few words, I would like to place on record my sincere thanks. Of course, I do miss the physical AGMs that used to be a lot more exciting. But we are also working with the technology and ensuring that with ease and comfort, we are able to still communicate to each other and share our views. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Can I request Mr. Bajpai to take the proceedings further?
Thank you, sir. Since the notice is already circulated to all the members, I take the notice convening this meeting as read. There are no qualifications, observations, or adverse remarks in the reports issued by the statutory auditors and the secretarial auditors, which may have any material adverse effect on the functioning of the company, and hence the same are not required to be read out at this AGM. However, I will brief the members about the business items as contained in the notice convening this AGM and also about the e-voting process at the AGM. There are 6 business items in the notice of 53rd Annual General Meeting of the company. I will now read out the items under ordinary business. Item number 1 of the notice: to receive, consider, approve, and adopt the audited standalone financial statements of the company for the financial year ended March 31, 2024, together with the reports of the Board of Directors and the auditors thereon. The resolution for item number 1 as provided in the notice is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. Item number 2 of the notice: to receive, consider, approve, and adopt the audited consolidated financial statements of the company for the financial year ended March 31, 2024, together with the report of auditors thereon. The resolution for item number 2 as provided in the notice is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. Item number 3 of the notice: to declare dividend of ₹7 and paise 50 only, being 375% per equity share of face value of ₹2 each for the financial year ended March 31, 2024. The resolution for item number 3 as provided in the notice is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. Item number 4 of the notice: to appoint a director in place of Shri Ajay C. Mehta, director identification number 000284005, who retires by rotation at this annual general meeting in terms of section 152(6) of the Companies Act 2013, 2013, and being eligible has offered himself for reappointment. The resolution for item number 4 as provided in the notice is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. Item number 5 of the notice: to appoint a director in place of Mr. Megho Mehta, director identification number 05229853, who retires by rotation at this annual general meeting in terms of section 152(6) of the Companies Act 2013, and being eligible has offered himself for reappointment. The resolution for item number 5 as provided in the notice is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. The items under special business are: item number 6 of the notice: ratification of remuneration of the cost auditors for the financial year 2024-25. The resolution for item number 6 as provided in the notice is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. The facility to vote shall be kept open for 15 minutes after the conclusion of this annual general meeting. Therefore, members who have not yet casted their votes are requested to do so. Now I request the chairman to give his concluding remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bajpai. I thank all the shareholders for joining this meeting through EC. I also thank the directors and other participants for joining the meeting physically as well as through VC. I hereby declare the 53rd Annual General Meeting of the company has concluded. Thank you. Jai Hind.